Last time we started Ranger in Time, rescue on the Oregon Trail. We learned about Sam Abbott getting ready to go on the Oregon Trail, loading up the wagon. He was supposed to be watching his little sister, but she ended up wandering away and we don't know where she is. Excuse me. Chapter 2 is called Mystery in the Garden. What you got, Ranger? What did you find, boy? Luke called from the porch swing where he and Sadie were finishing their pizza slices for lunch. Ranger was too busy digging in the garden to look up. Ranger loved to dig. He loved the damp smell of earth. He loved the showers of dirt and rock that flew from under his paws and patted on the ground behind him. He loved finding things, especially bones. There was something hard buried here. Ranger wasn't sure if it was a bone. He lowered his head to sniff the thing. Not a bone. Metal. It smelled old. He sniffed again and then caught another scent on the wind. Squirrel! Ranger whipped his head around. There, by the picnic table. Ranger took off running and so did the squirrel. It was fast, but Ranger was bigger and he was catching up. Ranger loves squirrels. Any of you have a dog who loves squirrels? Ranger loved chasing squirrels. He'd never caught one. He wasn't sure what he would do if he did. But they were fun to chase with their twitchy, fluffy tails. He chased it twice around the picnic table, over a bench, around the bird bath. As Ranger was getting close, the squirrel raced up an oak tree. It perched on a way-up branch and chattered down at him. Sadie laughed. Another one got away. Poor Ranger. You still can't resist those squirrels, can you? Luke came over and scratched Ranger's ear. You would have been such a good search and rescue dog. Ranger thought so too. He pushed his head into Luke's fingers. Squirrels were the reason Ranger couldn't be a search and rescue dog. Ranger had done all the training with Luke and Dad. They went to a special school with other dogs, German Shepherds and Labradors and other golden retrievers like Ranger. There they learned to rescue people in trouble. When Luke ran into the woods and hid, Ranger could always find him. He knew to stay there and bark until Dad came. That's what you did with lost people. You had to stay with them and signal an alert to bring help. I wonder if that'll be useful later in the book. Ranger had practiced finding Luke in all different situations. He'd practiced finding other people, too. He could sniff a person's shirt on or hat and then follow the smell of that person in the air to wherever the person had gone. Ranger was excellent at sniffing and finding. But to be a search and rescue dog, you had to ignore squirrels. Even when they raced right past you, flicking their fluffy tails, you weren't allowed to take off and chase them. You had to pretend the squirrels weren't even there. But they were! So Ranger chased them every time. He couldn't resist. Why was that a problem? It was only practice after all. Ranger would never go chasing after a squirrel if a real live person needed help. But the man who worked with Luke and Dad couldn't seem to understand. I'm sorry, he said. I just can't pass him. Luke had looked sad about that. It made Ranger sad for a moment, too. But then a squirrel came flying around the lawn, and Ranger chased it around in circles. That made him feel much better. That squirrel had gotten away, just like this one in the yard. It was way up in a tree now. Sadie and Luke went inside to take care of their pizza plates, so Ranger went back to the garden to dig. Soon he had the metal thing uncovered. What do you think the metal thing is? It was a box with a strap made from some kind of animal hide. Ranger clamped his teeth into the leather and tugged the box from the hole. It had symbols like the ones Ranger had seen on a small white box in a cabinet inside the house. First aid. Ranger sniffed the box. It didn't smell like there were bones inside. He would have to dig some more and keep looking. But as Ranger turned back toward the garden, he heard a high-pitched humming sound. His ears twitched. It was coming from the box. He sniffed the metal. Vibrations tickled his nose. What was in there? If Ranger took the box to Luke, he could open it and they could find out. The box was too big for Ranger to hold in his mouth, so he poked his nose under the leather strap and nuzzled it over his head. When he lifted the box from the dirt, the humming got louder. The box felt warm at Ranger's throat. Bright light spilled from cracks in the old metal and seemed to swallow up the whole yard. Ranger's skin prickled under his fur. The light coming from the box grew brighter and brighter. The metal rattled and shook. Ranger whimpered. He flopped down in the grass and tried to paw the box away, but all he could see was white, hot light, too bright. The light spread and grew. There was a blinding flash, and Ranger felt as if he was being squeezed through a hole in the sky. What is happening? He closed his eyes until the humming stopped and the hot metal cooled. When he opened them, he found himself on a dusty road crowded with people. They weren't dressed like Ranger's family. The men and boys wore long pants and button-up shirts. The girls had skirts and aprons like the kind Sadie wore when she played dress-up. Ranger sniffed the air. This was not the backyard. Where did Ranger go? He smelled campfires and horses and chickens. He smelled coffee and hot grease and bacon. But above it all, he smelled men, crowds of them hurrying and carrying and loading. They smelled of dust and smoke and sweat. Ranger pricked up his ears. This wasn't Luke's neighborhood. There was no shouting playground noises, no zooming cars. Instead, hooves clopped and thumped on unpaved streets. Animals whinnied and neighed and snorted. Men shouted at one another across the busy square. "Get up, Fergus! Haw! Hurry now! Deal of a lifetime on 2 yoke of oxen!" Then Ranger heard a woman's voice, shrill and full of fear. He didn't know who she was, but he understood her frantic words. "Find her! Find her now!" Who is he hearing? That's where we stop. Where is he and what is going on? Find out next time.